Alrighty. Sturgill Simpson has released his fifth full-length studio album, The Ballad of Dude and Juanita, and it is well past time to talk about it. This, as I said, is the fifth full-length album from independent country royalty, Sturgill Simpson, who has had a steady rise to underground fame over the last decade, becoming one of the most prominent and vocal figures in the independent country scene, busking outside of the corporate awards when he wasn't nominated, while picking up all sorts of awards and acclamations in other non-country based award shows. Over the years, Sturgill has dipped his toes into many different sounds, whether it be traditional country, bluegrass, alternative rock. He's done a little bit of everything in that vein, but always seems to find great success wherever he goes. There's a standard Sturgill always seems to meet wherever he takes his music, and I'm happy to report back that standard was met on this new record, The Ballad of Dude and Juanita. This new record finds Sturgill once again in the bluegrass field, but in a much more tame way as opposed to his Cut and Grass series, which was a little more intense bluegrass music. But this record is kind of walking the line between bluegrass and just traditional Western country, comparable to someone like Colter Wall. However, the real talking point of this album is the narrative that drives it. The Ballad of Dude and Juanita is a very simple and well-told narrative about, as you guess, Juanita and Dude's love story. The characters are named after Sturgill's grandparents, but it's worth noting the story is not based on his grandparents, it's just more a nod to them. Over the course of the story and record, we are introduced to 5 main characters. Dude, who is the main character, Juanita, Dude's significant other, Shamrock, Dude's mule, Sam, Dude's dog, and Seamus, the big bad bandit. In the beginning, all is well as we are introduced to characters like Dude in Old Dude Part 1 and the scene is being set. However, things go sideways on the track One in the Saddle, One on the Ground when Seamus comes along and shoots Dude, kidnapping Juanita in the process. From there on out, the album is Dude's treacherous journey to find Juanita and take her back, just like a Western fairy tale. I won't spoil the ending of the story because if you have heard the album, I'm just repeating knowledge you already know. And if you haven't heard the album, I want you to have the chance to experience firsthand the story because it is really well told. We often talk about concept albums and put them on a pedestal for their vulnerability or overwhelming thought put into the quote-unquote storyline, but it's not as common we get an entire record dedicated to telling a narrative story as clearly as a book. It's almost like a musical. You could so easily turn this album into a musical play because it already has the music and the story is so blatantly told. There's just something special about narrative albums because they don't come around very often. I would imagine one of the main reasons for that, aside from the fact that not everyone is capable, is that you have to almost sacrifice the chance of having a safe hit, a formulaic song that you know is constructed in such a way that will resonate with the larger audience. Unless you deviate from the story to do so, you're not going to find safe hits on a narrative album like this, which is why you're only going to get them from people like Sturgill Simpson, because Sturgill is someone who marches to his own beat, making the music he wants to make and isn't hung up on playtime. He just wants to make music he enjoys, but hey, it works. Look where it's got him today. Now, the story is all well and great, but at the end of the day, this still is a musical album. So how does the music hold up within the context of the story? To put it plainly, very well. This album, as I said, is a mix between the palette of bluegrass with the tone and pacing of Western country. However, within that sound, Sturgill not only successfully finds numerous different musical shades to display within the genre, but he also synchronizes the music to the story impeccably well. We have songs like The Prologue, which is this short sea shanty style track that sounds like how an old country story would have its scene set. Try and say that 5 times fast. Short sea shanty style that sounds. Oh. When singing about Dude's life, the music is darker and heavier to represent this tough-as-nails personality Dude possesses. When Juanita is kidnapped, there's a suspenseful build. The song Shamrock, which is literally about traveling across the land on his mule, feels like musical transportation with its clunky but driving beat, even a change in tempo displaying the unsteady pace of their journey. Or on tracks like Juanita, the love song of the album, Sturgill adds a nice waltzy twist to the style, making it a super charming track that feels like a couple's western dance tune. The point I'm trying to make is the way Sturgill tells the story and mimics that through the musical presentation is second to none. Overall, this record is just a very well-crafted and respectable narrative story told through music. It really displays the versatility of Sturgill's creative talents. Not everyone can tell a story as well as this and then turn it into a musical album. It's things like even the pacing of the story that may not stand out, but play a vital role in the flow of the record. If you were to create a pie chart with the characters of this record, the more important their role is in the story, the more time on the album they get. It's just like how in a movie, the main character gets the most screen time. But even throughout the album, Sturgill clearly introduces each character, making it super easy to follow, and provides closure to a previous section whenever there's a definitive change of mood or some character development. It's really well done. At the end of the day, I'm really liking this record. Did it blow my mind? Not necessarily, but I am thoroughly impressed by what Sturgill put together here. There weren't many moments that had me blown away by what I was listening to, but it's when you take a step back that you really gain a full appreciation for this album. Rating-wise, I think I'm going to give this album a beefy 8, I think like an 8.6. So, that's all I've got for you guys today. Be sure to comment what you guys thought of this album in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to drop a like. If you're new, maybe consider subscribing for more country music content. Links to my Instagram, Discord, and podcast are in the description below. And yeah, until next time, have a great day.